This hour, asking for your guidance and protection to our virtual gathering today. We thank you for the gift of life, the gift of family, the gift of work, and the gift of friendship. We thank you for this great opportunity to bring us together in this session as brothers and sisters. Bless the committee, the facilitator, and the attendees of this gathering. May we continue to value and appreciate the true essence and meaning of life with the help of your grace. And as we go along to our discussion today, we humbly pray that you would deepen our understanding. Lord, enlighten us and give us wisdom every day. Forgive us for our shortcomings and remind us to always be mindful of the things we do in life. We offer our life and our decisions to you, O Lord. May this gathering today create a memorable experience and a fruitful outcome. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ, our Redeemer and our Savior. Amen.
Hello, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to ninth week. So I'll recognize our terminology to ourselves. We've been calling ourselves as soulmates. Hi, soulmates. So soulmates, and I'll take this opportunity also to give birthday greetings. Chat has been burning with some birthday greetings, and yes, let's say hi and happy birthday to them. And then at the same time, it's already 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll take this opportunity to get on with our knowledge deepening session. And this is the 9th week. And I would think that our participants are very excited already. We're close getting to the end, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. So this afternoon, we have our speaker, Dr. Rachel Edita Rojas. She's the Vice President for Research and Development in National University, Philippines, and also the President of the Computing Society of the Philippines. Now, aside from Dr. Rojas, we are also joined by Dr. Sri Devi Venkatachalam from Lady Doa College in India. It's currently around close to 12 noon at their country right now. So she is our discussant for the afternoon. And I have a modified role for this afternoon as the moderator. And then I'd also like to recognize our project leader, who is also here, Dr. Dave Marshall. And then aside from our project leader, we're also joined by the rest of the team, Assistant Professor Joy D, and then also Assistant Professor Lourdes Curativo. So go ahead, Ma'am Lubel. I'll put Dr. Rojas on the spotlight. Yes, allow me to do that first. Yes, the floor or the screen is on you, Dr. Rojas. So yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Professor Te. And good afternoon, Professor Sridevi. Hello. Hi, and welcome to the participants. Good
Hello.
afternoon.
Hi, thank you, ma'am.
Hello. So we will be having our week 9 knowledge deepening session. And I hope that you were able to gain a few tips from the video that I sent for you this week. Okay, so I asked the organizer that for this session, instead of you asking the questions, I will be asking you questions so that I can I will be using the methodology that I shared with you in the video. Is that okay? Thumbs up?
Yes, that would be fine. I think they
Okay,
are
good.
excited.
Are you ready? Okay, so we will be interacting through the chat, and also maybe you can share verbally if given the opportunity. Okay, so okay, let's start. So, okay, kindly share with us your the region where you came from. I think we have a very good mix of everyone from region 7, 4A, region 1. Okay, very good mixture of different participants, different regions.
Yeah, I'll also help on taking note of this, Dr. Rojas.
Please, I would
Yes,
like to
yes.
request the organizer to provide me a copy of the interaction.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Definitely will be provided. So far, I'm seeing region 4, there's a region 1. Nice to, that's a very distinct number being the first region, right? So a lot of region 7, I would be assuming. So hi to our neighbors in the region 7, region 4A, CAR. I think I'll fail in history and geography here. I already forgot CAR.
Okay, thank you, Professor
Sorry
Chen.
to my teachers. Region 5, we're getting region 5. I even did not know that it's supposed to be region 4 and then there's an A. Okay, region 11, that's quite far. So that's definitely Mindanao. Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, region
Thank you
6.
very much.
I wouldn't be able to
Okay,
get
mountain
a
Matlas.
I wouldn't be able to get a, definite statistics for here, but so far that's a very good mix of region 7, one region 11 so far, of course.
Thank you very much. May humahabol pa. There's still some who are answering. Okay, so we'd like to also greet your home units or home institutions. So we'd like to acknowledge your school. So please type in your HAIs.
We have Baptist Theological College, the first to put that in. Okay, they're all coming in very fast. Okay, let me catch up to that. Holy Name University, Bohol. Hello. Pangasinan State University. Holy Name. Cebu Normal, CNU. BISU. We also have University of Perpetual Help System in Laguna. We're coming in from HNU, Santa Teresa College, Bawan. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Bawan, Batangas. Yeah, they've been inviting us for Barako coffee. Yeah, you can send that over. We're all coffee lovers here. I just had Arabica, so I'm always open to having Liberica, right? If I'm not mistaken. Tagbilaran City College, Cebu Technological University name. Again, Baptist Theological College, DCLC, STC, Holy Name, Carlos Hilado, Memorial State College, Norso, neighbors, hello, Tagbilaran City College, University of Baguio, okay, Cavite State University, there you go, University of the Cordilleras, then University of Antique, Tario Lim Memorial Campus. Ayan. So quite diverse actually. UM, Digos College, Infotech Development Systems colleges in Ligao City, Albay. Okay, Global Innovative College, Makati City. There you go. University of Antique, University of Batangas. Yeah, they're all coming in. That's a lot of schools actually. Southern Philippines, Agribusiness and Marine, Aquatic School of Technology. And then, yeah, Bohol is BISU. And then we also have from Davao del Sur State College. Oh, so nasa baba ng ano, we're at the south of the Philippines also. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. So,
Yeah,
greetings to different parts of the Philippines, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Okay, so I believe that everyone learned something from the learning. So, upon reflection of the materials on the assessments, what subjects which you are currently handling could benefit from your learning in this module and under what program? So these are contained in your assessment inventory for those who submitted.
So this is the one that you place in the chat, Dr. Rojas, no? Upon reflection of the materials and
Yes.
assessments, what subjects that you are handling could benefit from your learning in this module and under what program? Okay, that's nice. Number
So,
theory.
mhm.
Number theory. Oh, I think this is more closer to your expertise, Dr. Rojas, automata and data structures. Technology for teaching.
So
Definitely
from the
all
very technology based subjects to literature, accounting. Okay,
yes,
good.
very interesting on accounting because I'm always having some feedback coming from our own school with regards to accounting on how they do it. They have a different way of doing it, especially that they are very much concerned with numbers. Very important. And a lot of numbers, mathematics in the modern world,
And
industrial technology.
okay, good.
So far, we have literature and we also have English, GE subject on English. Yeah, the accountancy is very interesting to note. Auditing, there we have it. Very important also.
This part of your feedback is very important because it's in learning by doing. So we would like our participants to be able to integrate their learning into their specific subjects that you're handling. And it's very interesting from those who submitted how diverse the subject area and the possible implementation of the learnings. From physical education, very interesting. Humanities education. So on one hand, there are technology based, mathematics, counting, science, literature, PE, physical education, and the humanities. Okay, that's very good. Okay, so what sort of refinements are you thinking of that you would want to introduce to these subjects? Again, based on the learnings that you were able to acquire from the readings. Open book, okay. We identified one of the major challenges of flexible learning is that how do we ensure that the assessments are really being done by the students and it's measuring the learning of our students. Okay.
Yeah, that's a very good reaction. That open book. Yeah, I also learned quite a lot when Dr. Rojas mentioned about the open book, because it would just be, I know, difficult to keep on saying don't do it closed book when it's quite difficult to monitor them. Yeah, this would be a very good innovation that we're going to ask that CCTV is going to be placed in their homes so that we can monitor them. No.
Of course, open book, in implementing open book, we have to be selective in the courses that, of course, it's not applicable to all the courses, right?
Yeah, we're getting project-based assessment with rubric. A lot of responses on that. Authentic, we have authentic.
Mhm.
And then in automata, open book and reflection, and there's even meta reflection. That's nice. Yeah, keep them coming.
Okay, so those who answered project-based authentic assessment, uh, where do you get the real world problems in your specific fields? Like I saw a submission for medicine, also in criminology. No? So depend. Oh, even physical education, right? Okay.
Criminology, they'll commit a crime. I hope that's not the case. Commit a crime, have it recorded.
You can raise your hand if you want to speak out and unmute your mic.
Yes, we would like to invite you to participate if, for example, that you want to speak at least while we are also accommodating the answers coming from the chat. Please do go ahead. Don't be shy. It is your opportunity to be recognized.
So where do you get the real world problems? How do we identify the real world problems for our authentic project-based assessments in your specific subjects and field of specialization?
Yes, anyone?
Meron ba?
Anyone?
Anyone?
I think they're shy.
Because some students appreciate writing and some appreciate speaking. No, so we are providing the avenue for you to shine. Okay, how about the physical education? How do you perform authentic assessments? I had a student, we just completed our requirements, no? He did a systematic review of the, I think the challenges and the possible solutions to the challenges of physical education online. And the study is very interesting.
Yeah, so far there's an answer here. Video themselves. I'm pretty sure that we have at least one who's teaching physical education right now. There's also an answer, skills demonstration via video presentations, either individual or dual performances. And we also have an answer on the authentic assessment in children and adolescent literature. Students write an original fractured fairy tale. That's something new that I just got for this afternoon. And there
I
are
think
scenario-based.
our participant soulmates are quite shy, you know.
Yeah, I would think so. Free round trip ticket to Dumaguete, courtesy of Sir Dave.
Thank you, Sir Dave.
For those who know, Sir Dave might charge that to me. Uh, it's part of gamification, Sir Dave, rewarding so that they would speak. We have an answer here on scenario-based, Dr. Rojas.
Mhm.
IT, the software and apps currently used, evaluation, testing, target audience, requirements gathering. So this is on IT education. I would believe so. There's also record on video, actual project making in electronics. Also very interesting, no? Yeah. Okay.
So
So
how about peer support? I've seen it through the years that peer involvement is really very effective in enhancing and improving the learning of our students. They are more hesitant to approach their teachers than approaching their peers. If they have questions, they will go to their classmates rather than their teacher. So I believe peer involvement is very, very important. Mhm. I think I have not seen, yeah, small group discussions. Yes, I integrated peer evaluation, peer feedbacking, um, and then I also group them together. Although their projects are individual, uh, the group provides feedback to their group mates. Yes, peer evaluation. They also, I provide the rubrics for the evaluation, and then I provide the assessment or the marking of their projects. However, I also assign students to undertake the peer evaluation using the same rubrics. So in the same way that they are being evaluated by the teacher, their peers are also giving them feedback on how they have performed.
yeah, I think that's a very good experience to be shared. And I think I can also share one experience of mine with regards
Mhm.
to peer feedback. I have a class wherein there's only one student, and his major complaint is that he does not have someone as a group mate that he could talk
Mm,
to and give someone to give back feedback regarding his
mhm,
answers. So it's very different and very uh, very something that is very new to him, because he
mhm,
was more accustomed to having someone to tell him that he's doing something wrong or
mhm,
he's doing something right, or it could be improved, or at the same time that he could say the same to the answers of his classmates. So I told him, when we're going to do a video session, when we're going to do a synchronous session, I will be your classmate and you can make me your sounding board, and please do not treat me as your teacher, because it's kind of hard for him. It's going to be difficult for him to approach me with his concerns because of the student and teacher relationship in comparison to a classmate to classmate relationship.
mhm, mhm,
I think that would be one thing that I could help to share.
mhm. Thank you, Professor Tess. So, um, like now you're undertaking multiple roles, no? You're also
That's fine. That's fine.
providing multiple roles to your student. Okay, in
Yeah.
some schools, they even have organizations that are called peer org, or yeah. So they provide like tutorial services in mathematics, English, and others. So they can be organizations, peer organizations in your schools that can be established. Yeah. How about feedbacking, providing feedback to our students? Most synchronous sessions are limited. So it's really a challenge to undertake and to provide feedback and consultation to our students. So what I have done in my class is the feedback that I provide to my students are done both synchronously and asynchronously. So each of the students are given, as I call it, submission file. I only use one file for the whole term. And then that's where they provide their assignments, and then I give my feedback. So in that way, even if there's limited time in the synchronous discussions, I can still provide my feedback to my students asynchronously. So I can give it to them any time during the week, and they can also respond anytime during the week or read it anytime. So there's no constraint on the being able to meet at the same time.
Yeah. That's very, that would be very helpful. It's a way to try for our participants, a way for them to give it a try also. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So immediate feedbacking via Kahoot. We have a comment here.
Actually, feedbacking is a real challenge because there are so many possible venues. They can just the students can communicate to you to their teachers through messenger, through your LMS, through email, through different platforms, right? So at the beginning of the term, I already instructed my students because they have to consider that their teacher is as almost a senior citizen, and not to confuse the teacher. We only correspond to through the submission file. So for each student, I just look at one file and I can see their progress through that one file. Otherwise, it will be too confusing because there are so many platforms available. However, um, it didn't happen that way. Like there's still this LMS. So at least two, at least two. So there are so many platforms. So Kahoot, via Kahoot, or via the LMS, or Facebook Messenger, or other platforms. Uh, it might be confusing at times. So yeah.
Yes, we have a post here, collaborative apps, Google Docs,
Mhm.
or Office 365 document commenting feedback. Yes, that is correct. That can also help.
Yeah, so collaborative apps would also be helpful. And again, it's possible to maybe just maintain one or two rather than open up multiple platforms. However, we should also take into account if our students are connected to and have reliable internet connection when we identify these platforms.
Which is a very common problem for us here in the Philippines.
And considering, no, sometimes we have blackouts, right? Routine blackouts and unreliable internet connection. So I think the asynchronous way of providing feedback is very effective.
Yeah, just to comment, don't be surprised if somehow your students are able to find you on Facebook, even if you tried as much as you can to hide yourself so that you would be away, you would have some sort of privacy. But I don't think that is possible. So I think that some would change their name so that they would not be searched. We have a question here, Dr. Rojas. Ma'am, what is your comment on the use of OBS during examinations and quizzes? Dr. Rojas?
Open Broadcaster Software, OBS. Is that the one?
I hope, can you elaborate, Ma'am Kitalig? I have not experienced this also.
No, I don't. But it's for used for software, video recording and live streaming.
Yeah, I think so. She replied that it is a screen recorder used for video recording.
So the students will answer by taking a video of themselves. Is that correct?
Ma'am, we are using this to just to monitor them. Sorry po, monitor them po during the exam, so they can share their screen also at the same time, so we can see if they're opening other tabs like that.
Yes, I think that there's an integration of technologies to be able to see see virtually what they're doing. Yeah. So it really depends on the institution's privacy policies. And if the students and their parents allow it, depending on their age. So we also have to consider that. I think we are almost at the end. No, I just want to end by saying that let us not lose the big picture. Okay, I'm a big picture person, so I'd like to step back and look at the things by considering the context. No, so let us not lose the big picture that we are molding individuals. No, so assessment is only part of trying to find out if they really learned something from our classes. So we want to be able to nurture not only the minds, but also the character and the whole person. Now, of course, we want to prepare them for the real world, for the global world, no, as good citizens. So I think the ethical principles are very important. No, we see the problems that we are facing as a nation, even as a country, or even globally. No, so I think it's very important that we're able to impart this to our students, that they are responsible, honest individuals, and it really breaks my heart because when my students submit something and they know, and I warn them that I'm using plagiarism checkers and turn it in, it really breaks my heart. It means I didn't teach them well in that area. So I think it's just not a matter of providing the, of course, we need to provide an environment where they are not, I mean, we are checking whether they are doing what they're supposed to be doing in their assessments in full honesty and integrity. Um, but it should be from within, right? It should be something that they would learn after the class is over and after they have graduated. So I think that's another aspect that as institutions of higher learning, what are we passing on to our students? Are we just transforming minds, or are we building the character and the inner person? Okay, so I think let us not lose the big picture. So that will be my parting words to everyone. So good afternoon, Philippines. So thank you very much.
Yes, very good points, Dr. Rojas. And quickly, I think I should also add that we have as one of our last topics, Sir Dave, the data privacy, right? Something to do with making sure that we still protect the intellectual property. So I'd like also to add to that with regards to assessing, that you would be surprised when you get a submission from your student and then it has the name of someone else's the classmate. So I had no choice but to call the attention of both. One of them reacted, the source reacted, but the copier did not. But you know, it's really something that you would be considering on how you're going to go about it. And yes, that is a very pressing concern, especially right now that we are not able to talk directly to our students, and they are not doing their classes in the classroom where we normally would do so. Okay, so thank you, Dr. Rojas. And I would like to take, I saw your reaction to what I said. it's something that is, yes, it's true. It's going to hurt because you thought that they would remain honest. And Sir Dave even has a very nice way of going about it. No, and he should be able to share that in a different session. So okay, I would like to call on Dr. Shri, and good afternoon. And I will pose this question because I'm sure that the participants would also like to be able to learn from this. This is a two-part question. First off, can you share your best practices in the conduct of your assessment in this time of the new modality of teaching, which we currently call as technology-enhanced flexible learning? And second, what are the major refinements in your assessment, especially during the shift from face-to-face to technology-enhanced teaching like online learning? And so to set this all up, since you are in India, you basically have a different situation or scenario, but population-wise, I think we can relate it to the Philippines. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon to all of you. I'm Dr. Devi from the Department of Chemistry, Lady Doe College, Madurai. Thanks for giving this opportunity to address on this technology-enabled learning, teaching and learning assessment models. Like coming to your first question, the best practice. Before we go into the best practice, I would like to recall what was the practice earlier, that is before this new normal life. So with respect to the Lady Doe College community, like we had a very structured model as far as the assessments are concerned. We need to give 2 tests and 2 assignments and all in a set pattern and little freedom to think and move out of the box and test the students. So that was a scenario for the past 20 years, of my teaching experience, I would say. And then, though LDC encourages to move on for technology-based teaching, learning, even before the pandemic, it was only limited. People, it was not compulsory or mandatory, and they won't try to delve into it totally. So it was like very optional and some interested faculty would be doing that. But then we were using the Google Classroom and Moodle also as a learning platforms for the past 5 years, even before this period. So therefore, it was very convenient for us to move into this online learning mode using the Moodle platform, the learning management system that we follow right now. So now coming into the best practice. So as a teacher, as an individual, I used to give, in the earlier scenario, only descriptive tests, quizzes of objective type, seminars, group discussion, and some presentations. Student presentations. That was the method. But now this new normal learning method has given me a scope to explore a lot of online tools, I would rather say. That is the best practice for me, actually. So I'm now forced to learn all those tools and practice and understand the positives and negatives of these online tools, actually. So after trying so many tools like in Mentimeter, in Google Forms, Go Formative, Exam.net, and even that OBS. We've actually, the college trained us with a variety of online tools, actually. Last year, by this time, we were undergoing a lot of trainings on the available online tools. So actually, the college prepared us. And then we were given the freedom to choose the tool that is very convenient for an individual as well as for a subject. Because I belong to science subject. I may prefer a particular tool and some other teacher may prefer another tool. So now out of all these experiences, I feel that the open book test, that is really good. And that really kindles the innovative thought of the student. And the student is forced to learn by reading a book and trying to find an answer and then getting good marks. This actually, I like it very much and I have tried. And I usually, being a science person, chemistry, my discipline is chemistry, I used to give a lot of problems, actually, problems. So these problems will not be available in any standard books. So I would have changed the numericals or the formula pattern or the unknown to be identified and all those things. But they can refer to the standard books and find out the steps involved. And even the student who hasn't learned during my teaching or any other exercise, classwork or homework period, she would spend some time to learn and do the problem. So suppose if I give 4 problems, even if she tries with one problem and get a good mark, it's okay. There's a good learning has occurred. There is no copy. There's no cheating. Okay. So therefore, I feel this. I started encouraging students to go for this open book assessments. And another practice that I like this online mode gave me scope for testing the higher order thinking skills. Some of the participants were talking about it. Otherwise, we were just doing only assessing only the lower order thinking skills. But now we are able to take them out of this lower order region and then put them to think in a real time problems and solutions for that. I think my subject also is very nicely for this. So Dr. Rachel was asking about how would you connect it with the real time scenario and projects. It's very easy for a subject like chemistry. So I can ask them to go and refer anything that is happening around them and try to connect it with the concept. So this I could do. And then another thing, I developed this preparation of e-content and posting it. So this I was not doing earlier, actually. So now I'm very comfortable in developing online courses. So I used to record my lectures for 15 minutes and I used to post it well ahead of the class. And we'll spend a lot of time on discussion during the class. So I think these are the 3 best practices that I followed. That is scope for higher order thinking skills and enabling me to develop e-content through this method. And then the third one is developing the students' learning skills through open book assessments. And this is my best practice, I would rather say. And the second question that you were asking about, can you just recall that with respect to?
Wait, let me go over the second question again. What are the major refinements in your assessment, especially during the shift from face-to-face to technology-enhanced teaching like online learning?
Yeah. I would like to say that I felt this was more engaging and challenging, this online mode actually. But I found it very difficult to expect the same thing from the students. So to engage a student was really very challenging. So I have to look in for a lot of innovative methods, and I had to refine my presentation styles and teaching styles so that I could try to engage my students effectively during the online classroom learning. So though the material is same, actually the same material that I have been teaching for the past 20 years, but now it has taken a new dimension when I present it to the students. That is only that the driving force for that is only this new normal situation actually. So that's a major refinement that I have done with respect to my teaching. The teaching style I have changed a lot to keep the students engaged throughout my discussions or my presentations on all those things. So it's with respect to my teaching style, I would rather say, the refinement.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. Just to summarize it a bit, that in terms of assessment, that we focus on higher order thinking, and then making sure that there are the resources would now be, shall we say, modern, because there are now electronic ways of doing it, technology-based ways of doing it. And of course, yes, you have actually shared that same as what has been mentioned by Dr. Rojas, that the use of open book assessments, and that is a very good point, which really would be relatable to what has been discussed. As for the refinements, and I do agree on that, that it needs to be more engaging. Our students right now are hiding behind a particular barrier, which we also use as a way to communicate with them. But it seems that it has become more of a barrier rather than a tool to talk to them, to communicate with them, no matter how many times that we are going to say, please speak up, please, please ask your questions. But again, I go back to what was being said with regards to doing it from a peer to another peer. They would rather ask their classmates than ask the teachers. And so I would also like to point it out that since you mentioned it, that the course itself is very convenient. It would allow you to practice the online learning without any problems, no? Dr. Rojas, would you like to add to that, or
Yes, I just want to
go ahead.
add. Thank you, Dr. Sri, for a very interesting sharing. No, I just want to add, since you mentioned that the current scenario provides for the teachers an enriching experience, right? It revolutionize, if there's a word for that, no. But you mentioned that we don't really know on the side of the student. So I think what I did for this term is every week in their submission files, I asked them to provide a reflection part. So aside from the technical aspects that I've been asking them to submit, related literature, research questions related to research, there's a small portion there that I asked them, say, just put one paragraph thing, what did you learn, how did you feel, and all that. So in that way, we we have at least we try to find out how they are, if they're actually learning what they learned, how do they feel, and then today was the last day of the submission of our grades, and I asked them, okay, after you've submitted all your requirements, I would ask you to submit a final reflection. Look at all the reflections that you've done since the beginning of the term. Week upon week, I've been asking you for, see how you've grown, see how you develop as an individual. And there are some final reflections that I was really laughing. I was laughing and laughing, and some parts I was teary-eyed. So a whole gamut of emotions. No, I was so happy. I was touched. I was encouraged. Oh, they're learning. They learned from something from the class, and all that. So I think that's also an effective way for us to get their feedback and how they're doing in the process.
Yeah, that is
Uh,
very nice. And I would probably do that towards the end of my subjects, especially that I am teaching the students how to do programming, the fundamentals of it. Yeah. Okay, so I would like to move ahead to the next question, which I am going to give to Dr. Shri. How do we ensure the validity and reliability of our assessment? And what would you say are the do's and don'ts that we should be aware of?
Like reliability or validity of our assessments, yes, it's really a very serious concern. Like in our college, we have a practice to validate all the questions before we give it for students in the common assessment pattern. So during that period, it was really a validated question, which would be very widely discussed and dissected in the department meeting. And we'll make all the corrections wherever necessary. And then only the question paper will be prepared and distributed to the students. Even for the formative assessments, we call it as formative and summative. Even for the formative assessments, we do that. It was very rigorous actually during the face-to-face learning process. But then coming to this online mode, our college moved into a continuous assessment pattern. So they shifted from this formative to summative pattern to a continuous assessment pattern, wherein the teachers were given the freedom to test the students continuously with any number of assessments and then feed the mark for under five category. That is continuous assessment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a maximum of 20 marks each. I can have any number of assessments and my maximum could be 40 or 50 or 60. I can feed the mark and then it will be converted to 20 and then they will give an overall pass percentage for the student. And this is the new model that they have evolved during this period. But again, the teacher has the freedom to set the question and she needs to validate by herself and then release the question. Earlier, there was a team to do that. But now you see the ethics of the testing, teaching and testing now was put into the teacher's hand. Actually, she needs to follow the ethics properly, and it depends fully on the integrity of the teacher. But I do admit that we do have this problem of validating and then the reliability. It was not reliable in some cases, and we also had some problems and issues, and we had to train the teachers accordingly. And one thing, personally, what I feel is, if I look into the mark distribution of my student, if there is no difference between the low achiever, not much of a difference between the low achiever and high achiever, then I'm terribly failing in my assessment pattern. So that is the indicator for me. I took that as an indicator because I could see, being the head of the department, I can see the assessment mark of all the teachers. So when I just scrutinize the mark distribution for some teachers, all of them would have got around 80 or 90%, above 80 or 90%. Even the lowest achiever in the class would have got above 80%. Then it tells me something that about the nature of assessment. But in some other assessment, there will be a clear-cut difference. It will truly reflect the understanding of the students. I don't say that a low achiever cannot get above 80%. I don't say that, but the questions were very moderate, very average, and memory oriented. So in that memory oriented question, a low achiever is able to go above 80 or 90%. Tells me something that it gives me a hint that it needs to be validated. So mark distribution would be a very good indicator. And when we do an in-person vivos or an interaction with the student, then we can see that her understanding level is totally different. It doesn't truly reflect the mark, actually. So this was this I could observe it in my lab classes. So lab classes, when we give quiz, like the students tend to get the answers. It is not an open book assessment, it's a quiz. In Google Forms we give, they somehow they get the answer and get more marks. But then when we sit for the Viva individually and we ask the same question in a different way, ask them to describe or explain, they miserably fail. So I think we coupled assessments like in-person, individual assessments, like vivos or student presentation, seminars, wherein we could really assess the student learning. But the group assessments like test, a descriptive test, a memory-oriented descriptive test, or a quiz in Google Forms, I don't think it is much reliable. That's my opinion, actually. So we need to be very careful. But some teachers are really very comfortable in doing that and getting the mark and going on. So that's why I told you that it ultimately depends on the teacher, actually. So we need to develop the moral values of the students. It's not only the subject knowledge that they need to know. So Dr. Rachel was telling about the whole person education. So we need to inculcate those values, I think. So coming to the do's and don'ts, actually. Do's, I feel that we need to engage students in a very, very meaningful way. So engagement, meaningful engagement. In a regular classroom, when I'm just teaching the whole lot of students, I can easily find out that maybe 30% of the students are not involved in the class by their gestures and the way they are seated across the tables. But in an online class, it is not at all possible. Then I need to ensure that I'm engaging my student effectively. So, which means that, again, I'm coming back to the teaching style only. My teaching style needs to be more engaging and challenging to the students. So this is very much needed for this online learning methodology. And then second thing is, as a teacher, before we start a concept, we need to highlight the purpose of learning that concept. We need not directly go into the concept. Take some concept, thermodynamics. So what is thermodynamics? Define branches and equations. It is not going to create any impact on the student. But before going to thermodynamics, if I'm going to highlight the purpose of learning thermodynamics for a chemistry student, what would be its impact for her in her higher studies or in her research or in her day-to-day life? Finally, I connect that concept to that. So just even if you're not planning to go for higher studies or research, leave away girls, leave away students. Thermodynamics is very easy to understand this day-to-day scenario. I just put it like this. And they become more involved. So, and then I know many, I don't know whether chemistry, physics teachers, chemical engineering, they would really agree with me how boring it is to teach thermodynamics to a set of students through online mode. But then, as you said, ma'am, I used to give this feedback sometimes, not as structured as you are doing, but occasionally I get the feedback. And they say that more than the definitions and equations, they remember this real-time connection very much. throughout their life they remember, and when they go away and come back, and also they will recalling that concept more clearly rather than the actual law or statement or formula. So I think that we need to highlight the purpose of learning a concept and connect it with a real-time application. So that is a very important thing that we need to know. This, I think, should be done whether irrespective of online or face-to-face learning. I think we need to practice this. And then we need to give a very challenging and thought-provoking assessments. So that we already discussed. And the fourth one is inculcate the values among the students that they are learning for their knowledge and not for anything else, not for marks, or not for a degree. What a simple degree would give them, and what a real understanding along with the degree would give them. We need to do this small counseling in between our classroom teaching, I feel. Maybe after some 15 minutes when they get bored, we just break and inculcate these values among the students. So these type of regular counseling, it's not that we are not deviating from the subject. Connecting with the subject, we should be able to counsel them the importance of learning the subject for their own improvement and not for anything else. So these are some of the things that we need to follow. I would recommend as do's. And coming to the don'ts, as a teacher, we should never go and stand in front of the students totally unprepared. So suppose if I'm not prepared for a particular class due to many, because we are all human beings, so we cannot be in the very same way every day. So suppose for some reasons, for some genuine reasons, if I'm not able to address my students in the classroom during my own hour, then I should be able to engage them in a very different way rather than teaching in a very mundane way and leaving the class. So this covering the syllabus. So some teachers, they will recall the syllabus. The syllabus, it is there, this is there, we have covered this, we have finished this, the portion is completed. Let us avoid all those jargons and nothing to do with the syllabus or the portion or nothing like that. It's a holistic learning that we should inculcate among our students. And another thing, you were telling, Dr. Rachel was telling about the feelings that were reflected in the feedback. The same thing, I also feel that our positive feelings should be reflected during the classroom, I feel. Not all the negative emotions like our anger or frustration or tiredness or monotony. Something should not be reflected in our classroom teaching. It's possible that sometimes we'll be very frustrated due to some other reason in the family or in the administrative level or in the friendship level, whatever it may be. But then it should not be reflected during my classroom teaching. Because it happens. I could see that from the students' feedback about as a head, I'm also able to see the feedback about all my colleagues also. So based on that experience only, I'm sharing. Sometimes it also gets reflected. So I do call the teachers and talk to them that if you're not in a mood to deliver your classroom effectively, better engage them, give them some interesting review work or presentation, or you ask them a question and just initiate a group discussion, something like that. It's not that all the time you should be talking or lecturing, and student will do it in a better way. So we should not never do that, I felt. And again, the last but not the least, I feel that we are dealing with young minds, very moldable, and we are creating the generation for the future. So they are given in our hands, and I always talk about this in teacher education programs. So we have the greatest responsibility to mold those minds. So let us use our gestures, words very carefully. It's a powerful weapon we have as a teacher. So the words, it matter a lot, I feel, actually. So never ever underestimate a student, and all those things we should never do in front of others. And we need to uplift every student in a classroom depending upon her talent and skill. So these are the do's and don'ts that I'm recommending.
Yes,
and
thank
that
you.
actually catches that whole person education. Again, coming back to that.
Yes, very good point. And quickly, for the sake of time, I'll make this into as the last question. And I think this would be very interesting question. How would you deal with academic dishonesty? And I'll also refer this back to Dr. Rojas later on after you answered this. No, go ahead. How to deal
Yeah,
with academic dishonesty?
actually, I was talking about this. It's there. Academic dishonesty is there among the students. They are copying, they are cheating. It's there. It's very clearly visible. Okay, however much we do, we are facing this problem. So what I did was then I just counseled myself. So I should not get frustrated. Why should I teach? Why, after taking all efforts, if I'm going to face this dishonesty among a set of students, what is the purpose of teaching? Like sometimes it drains me. So therefore, what I evolved for myself is like the golden rule, 80% of the good work is always done by 20% of the people. So in a classroom, like definitely the top 20%, uh, they are beyond everything. They don't need me. They can learn on their own, any pandemic or not pandemic, online or face to face. They will be doing in exemplary way. Those students are there in every classroom. It is like this, whether it is in the Philippines or in India. I think you will all agree with me. There are a set of students who doesn't need any guidance from the teacher. Just a facilitation is enough for them. They will excel in their life. They have that deep learning thoughts and inner motivation within themselves because they have come from such a family background. So that is okay. So we are not for them. We are just only, we need to facilitate them. And there are another 20% of the students, the low achievers, are highly demotivated, or in the sense their interest is somewhere else and they are in this particular discipline, and the family scenario, background, everything matters, and therefore they are not at all interested or enthused by any type of teaching, any type of assessment. So how do I deal with these students? If I'm going to concentrate on these students when I teach or assess, it is demotivating for me, but rather I need to handle them in a very different way, for which I need some other special strategies. So I need to spend a special time for these slow learners, remedial measures. So I just, after categorizing these high and low categories, now if we move on to the 60% mid group, and really they need teacher like us actually. So they will come with a cat on the wall stage, and we just, if we try to uplift them and mold them, they will go into the top 20%. There actually the role of the teacher is very critical. The 60% no, if the teacher is really good, they'll go into the top 20%. If the teacher is not that motivating, they'll go to this low 20%. So that's, so we are catering to that 60%, which is actually majority, I feel. And that's where I feel very proud, in spite of all this dishonesty, even among the 60%, there will be people with such kind of values. But if we mold them, they will change. They will change. They are prone to change, but not that low 20%. They are set, they are molded, thermoset polymers, we say. No, it's very difficult to change. We need to have a different strategy to break them and come out of their shell. So that is not possible in a regular teaching. We need to take care of it in a different way, but let us cater for this 60%. So that was my strategy in this with respect to this academic dishonesty. And I think in that way, I'm very happy that that 60% I've helped majority of the students to go up in the ladder and perform very well. So down the lane, in 22 years of my teaching experience, I could see this, and I'm very happy about the strategy. So I would like to continue that. I'm working for that 60%. In
Thank you,
spite of
thank
all
you.
dishonesty and whatever it is.
Yeah, well said, well said. It hits the heart. It hits, it hits deep. Dr. Rojas, quickly.
Thank you, Dr. Shri. I just want to add a few things. No, I think when cheating happens, it's only natural that we feel we feel different kinds of emotions about it. But I think the best way to look at it would be let it be a learning experience for the students. It's a way that we can provided for us, that we can counsel them and we can provide advice and help them, nurture them at that time, as mentioned by Dr. Shri. But if we look at this, I even checked the submissions. No, I think it sort of provides a space and a venue for individualized instruction. Like we have to reach out to them, and it demands a lot from the teachers. right? If we have to do that, right? So I think we need more patience, and we need to see our role, a very important role in molding the lives of our students, the whole person, as mentioned by Dr. Shri. I think it's important that our classroom is an extension of us, is a reflection of who we are as people. So our students are a reflection of us, right? So I think it's important that in the schools, the teachers believe in them, because there are so many negative impulses. If you watch the news, I think I can't remember the last time I heard good news in the television news, in the daily newscast, right? There are so many impulses in the home, in the community, in the news. Now we have the lockdowns, varied issues. We're having elections next year, Dr. Sri. So there are so many impulses, these negative impulses. And I'm telling my students there's uh, a difference now in terminologies. When you say I'm positive, it's actually a sad thing. Because when you say I'm positive with COVID, it's a sad thing rather than a good word. Or when you say breakthrough, it's a breakthrough case. It's a sad thing, because even if you're vaccinated and you get COVID, it's called breakthrough. So even in the world around us, even in the vocabulary, things are changing. There are so many negative impulses and negative things happening around us. And when they go to the classroom, the teachers should believe in them. There should be positive impulses. But if we come with negative thoughts, with negative feelings and all that, of course we pass that on to our students. And the effect is exponential. It's not only 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, because you have so many students, and the students have their families and they have their communities and all that. So what kind of society and future are we building, right? So the current state of our country can be traced back to what? To us. So we have a very big responsibility. Although it demands so much from us, we need patience, right? We need patience, we need wisdom, we need to be prayerful, because how can we pass on ethics if we ourselves are questionable or lacking in so many things? So there's really, I told my students this afternoon, or earlier today, I told them, maybe I should also do my final reflection, because I asked them to submit their final. I should also do my final reflection, so that I would be able to find out what I learned from our class, and to reinforce the learning and enhance the learning that of life's lessons that I had for our class. So that's it. Thank you, Dr. Shri.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Yes, thank you very much. And we are going to give the responsibility of the good news to Dr. Dave Marshall. Sir Dave, please.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy because our speaker is actually a computer scientist and our discussant is a chemist by profession. But what we are talking here is about whole
Yeah.
person education, and what we are talking here is about reflecting things. And I should push the technology part because after all, this is the
I had
technology
the same
enhanced
thought,
teaching.
Dr. Dave. I had the same thought.
Teaching and learning. And what I got from the speaker, from our discussion, from our participants, that we should not forget that assessment is not just about rating our students. It is not just about finding who is the best student in our class, but it is about nurturing. It is about guidance, and this is about developing our students for the future. As mentioned by Dr. Rojas, it is not just simply about transforming the minds, but building the person, building the whole person uh, in our students. And I would like to add also that assessment is always coupled with feedbacking. Assessment is always coupled with how we reflect, not just simply for our students, but on how we reflect for ourselves as a teacher. Because after all, as mentioned by our discussant, Dr. Sri, is that our role really is to mold our students. We have to engage our students in a very meaningful way, because somehow, someday, they will come back to you and say, Mom, I learned from you, not just simply because I got the perfect score, but I learned life about it. Let's not forget what Dr. Rojas is telling us, that classroom is an extension for ourselves. It is an extension of who we are as a teacher, and let's put positivity and good vibes in our classroom. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you very much. Thank you to my batchmate in Boston College, Dr. Sri, and of course, our president of the Computing Society of the Philippines, Dr. Rojas, and with all other engagement, thank you very much. Sir
And
Thank you.
Dan?
thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Dave. Thank you for sharing those insights. So, Ma'am Lubel, please go ahead. And I would like to take this opportunity, of course, to thank Dr. Rachel and also Dr. Shri. So, these are all uh, well appreciated by our participants. And for the sake of time, because once again, that we have gone beyond, but it was a very fruitful discussion. I do believe so. And I hope that our participants feel the same way. So at this juncture, allow me to share to the participants our attendance, and please do not worry about the time that is going to be what you have usually seen as the time that we ask you to answer. So please go ahead and do that right now so that you won't be late about it. And yes, go ahead, Ma'am Lobel, with the next. Yes, we would like to take this opportunity to thank our discussant, Dr. Sridevi Venkatachalam, for sharing to us a lot of things that I'm pretty sure that our participants have absorbed. No, so go ahead. Please excuse the additional noise, part of the starter kit as always. And Dr. Rachel Rojas, we would also like to thank you for joining us this afternoon. No, okay. So yes, go ahead, Lubel, and please, as reminders, don't forget the assessment inventory sharing. Dr. Rojas would really like to get this. Okay, and then the knowledge check, please don't forget to answer it also. And next, yes, I'd like to share to our through the chat the link for the evaluation. Please go ahead and answer that. And of course, do not forget our additional assignment. So yes, next week, it's going to be week 10, and we are going to be joined by Professor Tenny Mariano. She is of, I think she's part of UPOU. Okay, so we look forward to that for next week. Okay, and this is the part where we are going to ask you to turn on your cameras very quickly, no? Because we want to get on. It's already past 3. So go ahead.
Okay, we'll start the photo up. So kindly hold your pretty smiles. I'll start with the first page. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. Next page. 1, 2, 3, smile.
Yeah,
Okay.
only 5 pages for this
We'll move to the
afternoon.
third. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And the fourth. 1, 2, 3. Then the last page. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, and as to not be positive, it's being positive about it. Please do take care of yourselves as always. No, so that's how we have been doing it recently. That we tell our students, please take care of yourselves. Please take care of your health. Go ahead, Ma'am Lubel. And yes, we hope to see you next week. Thank you for joining us for this afternoon. Have a pleasant weekend. Happy Fiesta to
Thank
Dumaguete.
you, Dr. Sherry.
Thank you. Thank you so much.